Alright, afternoon soldiers. I'm Corporal Hastings. Today I'll be the NCOIC for this block of individual instruction where we will conduct individual training event of Convert Azimuth. That's task 071, Charlie Oscar Mike 1016. Let's go over the risk assessment for today. Today's overall risk assessment is low. Some of the risks that we do have are trips, slips, and falls. We're going to make sure in order to mitigate those risks that we're going to keep our backpacks, bags, cords, things of that nature out of the walkway so our fellow soldiers or anyone else who may come into the building does not trip, slip, or fall or hurt themselves. As you can see, we are inside. We are in a low ceiling building, so we will not be jumping off the tables. We will not be jumping up and down trying to hit the ceiling with our heads. We will be 2 feet on the floor, maintaining safe practice at all times while we are in the building in order to avoid any risk of injury. If there is a fire, there are exits to my left, your right, and if you turn around 180 right behind you, we will exit the building in an orderly manner and we will move to the turf field, which is right outside about 50 meters away. You can't miss it, it's right there. Now, like I said, we are inside. If there is any inclement weather, we will be briefed on the inclement weather and we will take appropriate action. We would only expect there to be inclement weather if there were a tornado or some sort of windstorm, as we are in the desert, and it is unlikely that we will be struck by hurricanes or any other forces such as blizzards, anything else like that. Now, we want to keep situational awareness and be on the lookout. If there is an active shooter, we will follow the run, hide, fight mantra. So if someone comes in with a gun, we will first try to run, and if we cannot run, we will try to hide, whether that means running out of the building and hiding somewhere else or hiding under the desk so they can't see us. And as a last resort, we will fight, we will disable the shooter, and we will brief hire. This is a green army. We will reduce, reuse, and recycle. So let's try and reduce the risk of using plastic spitters and things like that. If you do dip, okay, that's fine. Just make sure that you recycle that spitter. We're going to recycle, make sure that everything makes it to its proper receptacle, whether that be recycling or trash or cardboard. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we leave this room cleaner than it was when we got here. That's what the Army does, hua. So put the trash or recycle in the proper receptacle and it will be a good day for everyone. That being said, at the end of this block of instruction, we will have a police call. Every single person will be part of the police call, myself included. We will police up the building, we will have the trash taken out, and we will sweep and mop. So that's going to be how we proceed. That's your brief risk assessment at the beginning here. So you were instructed to bring your PCCs and PCI items today. Those items are pencil, paper, map, compass, and protractor. So I want to make sure that everybody has their PCC and PCI equipment here. So go ahead and pull those out and we will verify that you have those. Okay? All right, we verified that everybody has their equipment. If something happens during the course of this training event and your equipment becomes unserviceable, please let us know. We will cover down on you here. So I'm going to go into the task conditions and standards now for task 01-Charlie Oscar Mike-1016. That is Convert Azimuths. You are a member of a squad preparing to conduct tactical movement, and you have been directed to convert azimuths in preparation for the movement. You have been given a 1 in 50,000 scale military map with a declination diagram, pencil, paper, a magnetic azimuth, and a grid azimuth. Some iterations of this task should be performed in Mach 4. Standards: convert an azimuth into a back azimuth, a magnetic azimuth to a grid azimuth, and a grid azimuth to a magnetic azimuth, without error. There are no special conditions and there are no special standards. Our safety risk, as we briefed already, is low. Mach 4, sometimes we will not be using Mach 4 today. Rejoice for that. Cool. So, obviously, I don't have a military map here. You guys, we will just make use of what we have. So, bear with me. So let's get into some task statements. The north and south lines designate grid north on your map. The compass needle points to magnetic north, and the GM angle or grid magnetic angle is the difference between grid north and magnetic north. Warning: when we are converting azimuths into back azimuths, extreme care should be exercised when adding or subtracting to 180 degrees. A simple mathematical mistake out in the field could have disastrous consequences. We want to make sure that we are being extremely careful when we are making these mathematical additions or subtractions. If we are out in the field, we want to make sure that we are taking everything as seriously as possible. That way everyone stays safe and we do not add to our risk assessment. So task number 1 is going to be to convert an azimuth into a back azimuth. So what we're going to do to do that is, if the azimuth is 180 degrees or less, we're going to add 180 degrees. So once again, if the azimuth is 180 degrees or less, we are going to add 180 degrees. And the reason for this is because you can be 180 and add 180 and still be at 360, but if you add more than 180 or you're over 180 and try to add 180, you're going to be over 360, and that doesn't work. So that leads into the second point. If the azimuth is 180 degrees or more, we're going to subtract 180. That's so we can still maintain where we are on our compass. If we go below 0 or we go over 360, we're not on the compass, and that's not good. So then we're going to convert a magnetic azimuth to a grid azimuth. So in order to convert the magnetic azimuth to the grid azimuth, you're going to subtract the GM angle. Exercise caution when doing this. Subtracting 180 degrees, simple mistake, could be significant in the field. We talked about that. So go ahead and locate your GM angle, which is part of the declination diagram at the bottom of the map, or figure 01, Charlie Oscar Mike 1016-1. The declination diagram shows both a picture of the GM angle and provides a written summary of the GM angle. This written summary includes the date of the GM angle and the actual range in both degrees and mils. So that's going to be useful here in the future. So what you're going to want to do is determine whether the GM angle is easterly or westerly. So in order to determine whether the GM angle is easterly or westerly, you're going to look at your true north, and if your arrow is to the right of true north, you're going to be at an easterly angle, and if it's to the left, you're going to be at the westerly angle. Now you can see that on your declination diagram there at the bottom. So when you're identifying an easterly GM angle and a westerly GM angle, you're going to apply the mathematical formula to convert the magnetic azimuth into the grid azimuth. So add an easterly GM angle to the magnetic azimuth to obtain a grid azimuth. Subtract a westerly GM angle from the magnetic azimuth to obtain a grid azimuth. Example: given a magnetic azimuth 190 degrees, using the above diagram, you would add 9.5 degrees because it is an easterly GM angle. Now, if it were the opposite, we would subtract if it were a westerly GM angle. So in order to gain your grid azimuth here, you're going to add 9.5 to the 190 degree, and then that'll give you 199.5 degrees. You're going to go ahead and convert that grid to a magnetic azimuth. So locate the GM angle which is right there in your declination diagram as we discussed, the bottom of your map. Note the declination diagram shows both a graphic picture of the GM angle and provides a written summary of the GM angle. The written summary includes a date of the GM angle and the actual angle in both degrees and mils. So take a look at that. All right, so what we're going to do here is apply the mathematical formula to convert a magnetic azimuth to a grid azimuth. Now we're going to subtract the easterly GM angle from a grid azimuth to obtain a magnetic azimuth. And then we're going to add for westerly. So as an example, given the grid azimuth of 199.5, using the above diagram, since it is a easterly GM angle, we're going to subtract -9. That's going to give us 190. So now that we've talked about that, I'm going to go. Basically, we're going to do some practice here. And then we're going to do I'm going to provide you all with everything that you need to practice. We're going to take 5 minutes to practice, and then we're going to test out. But before we do that, in order to do it, I'm going to go over the performance measures. For this task, there are 3 performance measures. The performance measures will be graded on go or no-go basis. Number 1, converted an azimuth to a back azimuth. Number 2, converted a magnetic azimuth to a grid azimuth. And number 3, converted a grid azimuth to a magnetic azimuth. So everybody take 5 minutes to practice. If you have any questions, please get with me or get with a buddy who knows what they're doing pretty well. Other than that, we'll get 5 minutes going now. Okay, practice is over, and we will have soldiers come test out. Okay, out of the 4 soldiers, only 1 soldier was able to test out. So at this time, we're going to end the training for the day. We have the unit which is currently untrained. Tomorrow we will conduct another training exercise on this in order to get everyone trained. It'll be at 09 in this building, which is building 9033. We will have the same PCC and PCI equipment that you brought today: pencil, paper, map, compass, and protractor. Make sure you bring those for the testing. And we will be right back here again at 09. And then, now that we have scheduled the retraining time, we're going to go over our AAR for the task of for the task of 071 Charlie Oscar Mike -1016, convert azimuths. So for this AAR, everyone has a right to speak, and I want to encourage maximum participation. Please don't talk over your battle buddies, and always be respectful of differing viewpoints. We're all on the same team, one fight. So we'll go over what was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen was I was supposed to brief and give a class and instruct you guys on task 071 Charlie Oscar Mike 1016. And then I briefed the draw, deliberate risk assessment. And then we did PCCs and PCIs, and we stated the task conditions and standards. Then we actually practiced the event, and then we went to the test out phase. So that was what was supposed to happen. What actually did happen? Okay, that's what happened. Great. What went right and what went wrong? Okay, thank you for that feedback. How do I improve the training for next time? Okay, thank you. I appreciate your feedback on that as well. And basically, to summarize the AAR, what happened, what was supposed to happen, happened. There were some things that went right. There were a couple things that we can improve on, and we're going to take those into consideration for next time. There were no injuries or damage to any of the equipment that while we were performing this individual training, which is great. All control measures seem to have been implemented effectively, seeing that we had no injuries and didn't lose any equipment, so that is great. So what we will do now is I will review my risk assessment while the soldiers begin to conduct the police call. And once I finish with my draw, I will join you for the police call. It'll be just a moment here. So go ahead and conduct a police call, and make sure that we have someone who can sweep and mop the floors and clean the restrooms while I do this. Okay, and that concludes a portion of this individual training. I would like to go ahead and request to close out the training site. Thank you.